All right, so Gil's Arena did a like a little conference or whatever, and they had Rich Paul come up there and be one of guest speakers. Now during the conversation, Rich Paul talked about a couple of things. One of the things he said was he was blindsided by the Luka Anthony Davis trade, and another thing he talked about was Bronny. Josiah asked him, and Josiah is the host of Gil's Arena. Josiah asked Rich Paul, do he think that Bronny will be NBA ready? And honestly, man, I'm gonna put a link to the video and I'm gonna pin it to the in the comment section below. But Rich Paul really said a bunch of nothing. He started talking about G League development, and he did say Rashad McCants be hating. He said a lot of people put their thoughts onto or their feelings on a Bronny, and that you got to be ready when your name is called, and there's a plan, and to talk about how he had a short season. And even Kenyon Martin said, look, we just gonna let him be the 55th overall pick. And it's funny how, and I think a lot of times it goes back to being spoiled and pampered. For whatever reason, they have this grand scheme plan, and then when it don't necessarily work the way and people criticize it, now they're haters. Even Gil, right? I was watching No Chill Gil. He's like, oh, where the haters at now? Brody killing. I mean, yeah, he going off in the G League, but that's not the NBA. Even y'all said that at the conference. That's not the NBA. And I think that what these athletes fail to realize is that people love Bronny. People been rooting for Bronny ever since Bronny was in elementary school. The problem that came was people said, oh, okay, the kid's clearly not ready. He's going to need some more time. Let's have him go to college and spend 2-3 years. Like when he went to USC, people was rooting for him. But then when you see him go play at USC, you're like, okay, the kid's still a freshman. He need more time. Look at Mercy Miller. Mercy Miller is definitely a better player than Bronny, at least in high school and in college. And Master P is okay with the plan that he got going on. He plays a couple of games at USC. Yes, he had a health condition, and I was one of the first ones that came out and said, "Look, I'm rooting for Bronny. If basketball don't work, it is what it is. There's more important things in life." But he plays several games. He don't look ready. Then all of a sudden, he's magically drafted by the Lakers. During LeBron also came out and said Bronny's better than half the players on NBA League Pass. He's selected by his dad's team. Y'all start talking about nepotism and not. Listen, man. If Bronny would have got drafted by another team, you would have never heard a word out of nobody. If he would have got drafted straight to the G League like Dwayne Wade's son did, you would have never heard nothing from nobody. You get him drafted, and then immediately you have this manufactured father-son moment. When, let's just say, Bronny they would have had the moment later on in the season. You wouldn't have heard nothing out of nobody. But you can tell Bronny is clearly not NBA ready. It was this media push by the media, Clutch Sports, Nike, Adam Silver in the NBA, Jeannie Buss in the Lakers. All of this was to make money. Basically, Bronny the one who being exploited. But you can't say nothing because you're quote unquote a hater. And it's just it's funny that these players think like this, but this is what happens when you've been pampered all your life. When you've been told, oh man, you're a great player, man, you this, that, and the third. And then the moment you had criticized them, oh man, you're hating. No, that's not true. These boxers do that all the time too. Javante Tank Davis, Shakur Stevenson, they used to be in praise all his adulation. Then when Shakur go in there, and people go to sleep literally and leave the fight. Now he feels some kind of way instead of just dominating and moving on to moving on. But I'm not surprised by Rich Paul's response. I won't be surprised if Rich Paul honestly runs for Congress or senator or something, because he's somebody who quote unquote didn't come through the traditional agent route. You can definitely tell Rich Paul has countless thousands of hours of media training, because you can ask him a direct question and he will give you a bunch of word salad. I'm like, dude, Josiah asked you a direct question. Do you think he will? Well, I mean, if the stars align and 2 + 2 = 4, and you got to think about the solar eclipse, and and everything lines up. And I'm like, dude, what is he going to play or not? And at this moment, Bronny does not look like an NBA player. And check this out as well. And this is a response to Gil. No Chill Gil. If Bronny was going off like how he was in the G League in college, he would be a lottery pick right now. Arguably top 10 pick. If he was going off and putting up 30 and all of that, then people would be like, whoa, okay, we might be seeing something. Then he go in the G League next year or whatever, but you want to have this process. But the problem was Bronny was rushed too fast, and regardless of what y'all say, you got to understand what the average person is thinking. But then we don't know what we talking about, but we the ones that's paying y'all salary. Do y'all not remember that? You know. But I've said this many times. You can buy Bronny's jerseys. My son can buy Bronny's jerseys. He can buy all of the sponsors that's endorsing Bronny. You know, all the products. You see Bronny, all these commercials. You ain't got no problem with that. But then he can't criticize him. If that's not the level of narcissism, I don't know what it is. And I hate to use this comparison, but you remember when Colin Kaepernick took a knee and it was for police brutality, but then they flipped it and started talking about him not standing up for the flag and the soldiers and all of that, the military. This is kind of what they be doing with Bronny. When you start criticizing him on the court, his game, which is fair, they start saying, "Oh, Bronny's a great kid and he's a very respectful kid." That ain't got nothing to do with him playing on the court. We're not talking about that. Nobody's ever came out and questioned Bronny's character, but this is the narrative that, you know, Clutch Sports and corporate media try to spin. But I just want to get my quick thoughts about it, honestly. Tell me what y'all think.